Anubhav Sinha and Trishant Srivastava. The biggest cheer is from backstage, which I love it. So let's cut to the chase. आज शाम हमारे साथ वो कास्ट और क्रिएटर्स हैं जो आमतौर पर अलग अलग फ्रेम्स में अपना ब्रिलियंस दिखाते हैं, लेकिन आज they are all here together in one frame for the first time. I'd like to now request the people who acquired the rights to the book Flight into Fear and compelled Netflix to say this story with them. Please welcome Saratha Patil and Sanjay Rautre, producer Matchbox Shots. I'd like to call on stage Trishant Srivastava, co-creator and writer who has been a part of Jamtara's team for Netflix and now IC814, the Kandahar Hijack. And the visionary, a storyteller like none other, filmmaker, director, and co-creator of this series. Please give it up for Anubhav Sinha. And first of all, thank you so much, creators, for being here, Anubhav sir. Thank you very much for giving us a fabulous series. Like I was just saying, started off and kab wo 6 episodes gaye. I just couldn't believe myself. Thank you very much, each and every one of you. Thank you for acquiring the rights to that book. I'm going to get back to you. And आपसे तो बहुत सवाल पूछने इतनी gripping storytelling के बारे में. But before we move on, of course, I'd like to call up on stage some of the most fabulous actors, performers who have not only inspired us, but the entire nation and a generation. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my absolute honor to call him on stage, a masterclass in himself. When you watch him on screen or on stage, you know it's his world and we are just living in it. Please give it up for Mr. Naseeruddin Shah. Next up, Naseer sir, please welcome, please have a seat. दोस्तों, कुछ लोगों का दौर होता है और कुछ जो अपने आप में एक दौर होते हैं. शब्द कम पड़ जाएंगे, बस इतना समझ लीजिए कि हमारे लिए फख्र की बात है कि हम उस दौर में जी रहे हैं जिस दौर में वो काम करते हैं. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Mr. Pankaj Kapoor.
Okay, so what we are seeing right now is the entire cast. It's a stellar cast of the series IC814, which has run into a bit of a trouble there with the acquisitions of the wrongful depiction of facts. But now, after the meeting with the Netflix content head and the INB ministry, it seems that the filmmakers have decided to ensure that things are corrected. In fact, they've just made an official announcement and they've said that the opening disclaimer has been updated, it has been reworked, and that the real names of those terrorists, of those hijackers have now been revealed, along with the code names as well. Pallavi joins us for more on this. Pallavi, in fact, has been keeping a very track of that very important meeting. And Pallavi, we can see that immediate action has been taken by the filmmakers, by the Netflix content head, to issue that disclaimer, to rectify the faults which has triggered this massive controversy.
I think I'm just going to put it very quickly into context why this disclaimer was demanded and why it was required according to the government. Because what the defense came in from Netflix is that there is an MEA statement of 2000 which very clearly mentioned the name of the 5 hijackers, and everyone was aware of the fact that those hijackers had code names like Shankar, Bhola, Burger and Doctor. This is something which was accepted by the INB ministry, but what they questioned was that what was stopping you from having a disclosure in the beginning, in the middle and in the end? Because if you're not going to be coming out with this kind of a disclaimer or a disclosure or a ban, you're giving out an impression that and those who are not privy to the IC814 hijacking events, you're giving out an impression that the terrorists were not from Pakistan, they were not Muslims, they were actually Hindus, and therefore Pakistan had got nothing to do with it. Therefore, isn't this a compromise of our national security and a foreign policy? That was the main point. So this is a big development. This is a big acknowledgement of the demands which has been put forward by the government, and that meeting which Netflix representatives had with the INB ministry. We've already read out the main lines. So now it has been issued by the Netflix India head, Monica Shergill, who in fact was there at the meeting when we were there early this morning, and now she has made it very clear that the real names and the coded names of the hijackers will be shown as a disclaimer with clarity.
You know, while there was the strongest objection to the use of aliases Shankar and Bhola, I think another very pertinent point, Pallavi, which you have been highlighting since the very beginning, is the depiction of these terrorists as well. There was many who had criticized these terrorists being depicted in a soft light, them, humanizing these terrorists, which in fact was just the opposite, and the kind of trauma and ordeal that the passengers had to endure on that flight.
Absolutely. So there were objections on two grounds. One, of course, is the coded versus the real name. And the second one is that, the negotiators looked weak. They looked as if they were not in control of the situation and were confused. But in stark contrast, the hijackers certainly seemed to be, one, very much in control. And second, of course, they seemed to be enjoying that moment. I mean, they were sensitive. They were reaching out. There was a couple of scenes, I remember, one where they are seen to be playing Antakshari with the hijacked passengers. One of the hijackers, I think it is Berger, who walks up to one of the air hostesses and tells her to take care of herself. So these are moments which the objection was raised to, that, while you talk about authentic portrayal, how could you overlook the fact that they were lethal, they were deadly hijackers who had no qualms in attacking senior citizens, children, and which actually led to one casualty as well.
Oh, absolutely. Pallavi, just kindly stay on with me. In fact, we have the live visuals there of that press conference, the entire cast and the filmmaker addressing the press. Let's listen in.
The appreciation we are getting on IC814. It's a personal story which we've been working for the last 5 years. I come from a family of aviators, and it was important to tell a story of courage and resilience and what goes on in that aircraft. And that's what we did. And of course, when you have someone like Anubhav Sinha leading it, this is what you get.
True that. I completely agree. And Anubhav, sir, within the first week, the kind of response that you're getting, it's absolutely phenomenal. I mean, you've actually taken reactions from everyone within the industry also. Audience reaction bhi aap tak pahuncha hai. Did you actually believe that this is what's going to be such an instant response?
No, yeah. When you release something, you're hoping that people like it.
Yeah.
And it will be too pompous to imagine that something like this will happen, this kind of response. But as it pours in, it is overwhelming. It makes you feel smaller, actually. The amount of love that has been offered to us so far is outstanding. And I'm absolutely grateful. Can I just stand up and thank all these people?
Please do, sir. Please do. And this absolutely...
Pankaj bhai, Nasir bhai, aap sab log. Thank you. Thank you for doing this.
Wonderful. And Trishan, can I just shake your hand? Grip to bahut tight hai. Ye gripping screenplays yahin se nikal ke aate hai. What have you been doing, Trishan, from Jamtara to now this particular series? I think it's one of the most gripping tales that I've viewed, and clearly the skill set to write such a series is something that not everybody possesses. How did you develop that?
Thank you. I would rather give it to the amount of research that we did on the show. I mean, writing screenplays is possibly the last step.
Nice.
But there is so much that
very humble of you, sir.
Before that. So the research, the meetings, the meeting everybody, and then sort of trying to crack a story. So
true.
It was a whole process that took 5 years.
No, it is. I'm going to come back to you and ask you about how many different layers, kitne sare tracks chal rahe the, and to be able to bring them all together is absolutely remarkable. So well done on that. 99, is everybody over here who was around during 1999? Koi 2000 plus ki paidaish ho to pata nahi, but I'm sure most of us are old enough over here who were there when it was happening. Nasir Sahab, I was... in 99 when this incident was happening, मैं इसी होटल में bellboy था. I mean, ताज रेसिडेंसी एक होटल के अंदर, and मेरा काम था newspapers बांटना लोगों के rooms के नीचे, one of those things. And I remember that morning, that newspaper, the headlines and the entire country and everybody was completely engrossed in it. Do you remember 99 when this incident was happening, when you were doing this series? Did it come to you from memory? Because you've seen a lot, and did that actual incident play in your head?
I can't say that. I was about 50
Sir.
when this happened, end of the previous century. I remember being extremely disturbed because I feared that it would provoke another wave of Islamophobia. And luckily, at that time, it didn't. But I remember feeling terribly concerned about the situation. And